In addition to stages, your orchestration can have decision elements. These decision elements work exactly like they do within flows. We can start by clicking the plus and adding in a decision. And what this will do is create a branching set of outcomes for which we can set certain conditional statements. And only one of these is going to execute, based on whichever one executes to true first. So the example that we have here is we want to look at what happens after the agent triages the case. And based on the status of the case, we're going to assign a few different outcomes to it. The first outcome we're going to account for is the happy path, in which the case is marked closed. The way that we can find this is by looking at the output of our last step. What we want to do is check the status, and if it equals closed, then we can mark the case closed and end our orchestration. Let's repeat this for the other possible outcomes that may come from having an update to the case status. Let's take a look at our final product for the decision element. We have three cases here. One, case closed. The way we check for that is by checking the output of our previous step to see if the case status was set to closed. And if it is, we'll add in a stage to perform any final actions needed to end the orchestration, such as updating everybody involved from the company side as well as the customer side about how the case has finished. There's another outcome where the case may need to be escalated. An example of this might be where the customer is asking for a refund, but the agent who triaged is not part of the finance support queue, so they can't actually process the financial side of the refund, and they may need to escalate it to that queue instead. And then they can take care of that in the escalation phase and allow another triage by a member of that finance support queue. And decision elements always have this third default outcome section, and this is when none of the previous conditions have been met. Usually, this can just be left blank, but if you would like to take further action in the case that the case was not marked as closed or escalated, you can add in that work to be done on this path. Another piece of logic you can add to your orchestrations are go-to connectors. And these basically allow you to take the end of one stage and connect it to the beginning of another stage. You can also connect the end of an element to the beginning of another element, such as a decision. And this is really useful in cases where you may need to go back to a previous stage. You want to reuse some previous stages that have already occurred and just go back to them because of the way that your process is occurring. And in this case, we have a perfect example of this, because when we decide to escalate a case, we need to have a special escalation stage to route this case to that new support tier. But after routing, we need to do another triage. So we can actually repeat the previous triage stage because we know that the routing has updated who is going to be doing the actual triaging. So we can add in a go-to element to basically repeat the triage stage with this new assigned escalated user. So we're going to click the plus under stage and connect to element. And this will allow us to connect to any previous element or any other element in our orchestration. So you just click on the plus above the desired stage. And now when this stage completes, it will go back to the agent triage.